Realtree Pro staff member Joe Drake and cameraman Chuck Jones waste no time kicking off the season with a bang. And it's a good thing the camera's rolling, or no one back at camp would have believed their story. You talk about action, you gotta see it to believe it. Joe and Chuck placed the Featherflex decoys out in the field long before any activity on the roost.
I enjoyed that, man. That's gorgeous. God,
Did they put on a show?
they came up behind. I mean, we could hear them drumming behind this creek, and when that turkey gobbled, I had the tripod sitting, and I'm trying to wheel.
I heard you move. I said, "Oh no!"
Well, they went behind that cane patch.
These were coming. Oh. These were coming. That one strutted right out there. I could feel him when he flew into the field.
What, inch and a quarter spurs, huh?
Pretty close, yeah. Awful nice turkey. I believe he was the dominant of the two.
Yeah. I was waiting for you to cut to him or call to him. I figured they'd go nuts. Golly.
I wanted to get them close together. Lord have mercy. I'm talking about some turkeys, man. You can see them all in the tree line.
Yeah, that's
strutting on the limb.
That's unbelievable. Let's go check on Bill Will and them.
We will. We had an awful good morning. There was some gobbling going on, wasn't there?
Can you run that camera?
Realtree presents Memories of Spring. Brought to you by Realtree, America's most versatile camo pattern. Ranging, serious products for serious sportsmen. Mossberg, shotguns as solid as the people who own them. By Featherflex decoys, when imitation needs to be perfect. X, official clothing of the National Wild Turkey Federation. And by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks.
Guys, what a way to start a season.
Unbelievable.
Hi, I'm Bill Jordan, along with two good friends, David Blanton and Chuck Jones, and guys, we had a great spring.
It was incredible, and I'll tell you, that first hunt we just saw was very exciting. I mean, I don't know how many longbeards y'all had, but it was a pile of them.
There were 8, 10 to 15 different longbeards out there. You could see turkeys all up in the trees that, you know, they were gobbling on the roost. And of course, some of those turkeys didn't come out in the field. Some of them went on back toward that big swamp deeper in the woods.
You know, we had a couple of days of warm weather during that stretch, and those birds just really got active that first week.
Hunting with somebody like Joe does tend to help a little bit.
And Joe was just one member of the all-star cast we've got on this video.
I'll tell you, that's kind of the who's who of turkey calling when you have people like Joe Drake, and we have Brad Harris, Walter Parrott, Rob Keck, and, you know, Harold and David from Nightingale Game Calls join us on an exciting hunt, and you can't help but go to the woods and learn something from those guys.
And them boys, I mean, they really know how to handle a turkey in different circumstances, too. I mean, it's not just textbook hunts.
That's right.
They pull some tricks out of their pocket.
You know, we had a bunch of real good, successful hunts, but we had a lot of hunts that were successful for you and I that weren't successful for the other hunters.
And that doesn't hurt our feelings, does it?
Not at all.
God, we had some great times.
I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's take a few minutes and show you some of those memorable moments on some of the turkeys perhaps we didn't harvest, but I tell you, you don't want to miss this footage.
One of the most memorable moments of the year was captured on video by David when he and Joe hunted a piece of property with hopes of only hearing a gobble. What you're about to see is a rare glimpse of some incredible courting and breeding footage. Knowing that something unique was unfolding in front of them, with all of it being captured through the lens of the camera, Joe holds off on squeezing the trigger. By anyone's standards, this is definitely a successful outing. Notice that the dominant longbeard does all the mating. And boy, does he have his work cut out for him. In an hour period, he breeds 7 hens, one sporting an 8-inch beard. Rob Keck, Executive Director of the National Wild Turkey Federation, joined the Realtree team for a few days of hunting.
They love to strut, they love to pick, they like to display in front of the hens. Here we've got an opening with a power line and a road that's cutting across. It just rained within the last 24 hours. I'm looking for sign, looking for tracks. Here's a place where a gobbler has strutted. you can look and see the drag marks in the clay where his wingtips, in fact, on either side of the gobbler have drug, and you can see by the turning of the tracks that he was displaying for some of the hens that were with him. It appears there was 4 or 5 hens along with this gobbler.
Rob's no beginner in the turkey woods, and in no time engages in a battle with a long-bearded tom affectionately known as the Phantom of Flat Shoals Creek. The bird comes in close, but not close enough for a high percentage shot. The gobbler's been fooled, but lives on. We'll call it a draw. While turkey hunting at the Encinitas Ranch in Texas, the rancher told Joe and Chuck of a gobbler sporting at least a 13-inch beard that he had seen in this area several times. Guess they only had 12.5-inch beards. Wonder how many beginning hunters would mistake this mean old strutting hen for a showboating gobbler.
get into position. You got to have your head net on. And I go over to my fighting peck system. And it really works. You know, if you're feeding along, you know, you're imitating that hen, you know, feeding along, that gobbler's out there, and you just politely just nod your head like you're pecking. Let's demonstrate. Pick your gun up slowly. Place it, you know, out there that the gobbler's doing, and go down on your stock of your gun and peck. Well, folks, there you have it. That's a Realtree tip of the week.
From one pecker to another.
I wish you'd have ended it by saying.
Last but not least, we proudly present our Olympic hopefuls for the synchronized strutting team. They've got the rhythm. Until the boss decides 4 is a crowd for this lady.
Hi, I'm Rob Keck, Executive Vice President of the National Wild Turkey Federation. These are my daughters, Carolyn and Heather. The Keck family has a great love and respect for these wonderful outdoors. Most of you know me as a turkey hunter. And as a turkey hunter, we feel there's a great responsibility to put more back into the environment than we ever take away. One way to do that is through supportive groups like the National Wild Turkey Federation. The gobble of the wild turkey is heard on ridges and in valleys where it's been absent for more than a century. In fact, there's 1 million more wild turkeys today than there were 5 years ago. There are over 4 million wild turkeys in North America. They are found in Canada and Mexico. In fact, there's 10 states that have wild turkeys that didn't have them when the Europeans first came to America. 30 years ago, only 20 states had turkey hunting seasons. But this past year, with Delaware and Nevada having their very first spring seasons of modern times, every state but Alaska, which has no wild turkeys, have huntable populations. Of course, this didn't happen by accident. Wildlife departments, along with sportsmen and groups like the National Wild Turkey Federation, have helped bring the wild turkey back from the brink of extinction. Hunters' dollars have paid the way. License dollars and tax dollars from the sale of arms and ammunition wrote the ticket. Wild turkeys have been reestablished all across this great land through the trap and transfer efforts of wildlife departments. Programs like Target 2000, Wild Turkey Restoration, have brought pure wild turkeys into areas where the turkey gobble has been absent for more than a century. This box carries 1 wild turkey, which is used to move that bird from its home range into new suitable habitat. Wildlife managers had to learn by experience. For many years, we did the wrong things. We released semi-wild, pen-raised turkeys, and they just simply didn't work. Eventually, wildlife professionals came upon the trap and transfer method of restocking pure, wild-strain turkeys. Wild turkeys were baited into an area, and a cannon net was fired over top of them. They were carefully put into a transfer box, transported to an area of suitable habitat, and released. This has taken many years, many experiments, and lots of money. Hunters' dollars have paid the way, just as they have for the great restoration of the Canada goose, the wood duck, the black bear, the pronghorn antelope, and many other game and non-game species. Volunteer conservationists from the National Wild Turkey Federation and other conservation groups have helped in this big effort. They've helped locate abundant populations of wild turkeys, they've pre-baited areas, they've helped move the birds, and they've provided the support and the protection necessary to get these populations off the ground. Girls, we've got a big responsibility to preserve these wonderful outdoors that we have here today. We've got a job to ensure the future so that your children and their children have all the wildlife and the beauty of this great land that we have right here. Right, girls?
Right, Dad.
This is Rob Keck.
Thanks, Rob. You know, that's some great information from the National Wild Turkey Federation, and you can see from that footage the importance of the stocking programs from turkeys throughout the country. Next, we have some awesome footage coming up for you on that tough eastern gobbler. Stay tuned and learn some tricks from some of the experts.
Pro staff team member Brad Harris of Lohman Game Calls likes these Georgia turkeys. The very first morning proves to be productive when this young 2-year-old comes into the decoys aggressively. Using the Jake decoy along with a hen can really make the difference. Maybe next year, fella. Well, the gobblers got henned up and quieted down. Persistence paid off as Brad covered more ground, calling often.
Tough this afternoon.
They are, they're not fired up just yet. They're just right on the verge of breaking up, actually. There's some gobbling and strutting, a little fighting going on, so I know some gobblers starting to separate a little bit, you know, and it's just a matter of days. It's gonna be real good.
Brad told me, he said, you just put me in an area where there's a a lot of turkeys, and we'll cover a lot of ground, do a lot of calling, and we cover some ground.
We cover some ground.
Fishing personality Jimmy Houston is one enthusiastic turkey hunter. He loves it as much as catching a mess of fish.
Jimmy, it don't take you long, does it? Least you could have done is waited for a little light.
I waited and let him do his thing for a long time, but he kept coming. So.
Outdoor writer Gary Clancy joins David Hale of Night and Hale Game Calls for a look at a new concept for calling in tough turkeys, the fight and purr system. Boy, that got him fired up, and some tempers start to fly.
coming around that bend, and all we did was head them off. We saw which way they were working.
Right.
Took us an hour to figure out which way they was traveling.
It wasn't that simple, but you did a great job of getting us in position, I can tell you that.
Well, when that turkey gobbled back up the ridge there probably an hour, 45 minutes ago, he'd already made an indication which level he was on, and they were coming this way steady. Right. Then they got around there and just quit. They're probably doing a bunch of strutting is what I'm going to say they was doing.
Now, we were under the assumption that it was a gobbler with hens, and he was following his hens as they fed along. We didn't know it was a whole group of gobblers at the time.
Well, I won't say that there wasn't any hens in the bunch. I got a feeling that there was at least 7 or 8 longbeards in that bunch, plus probably 2 or 3 jakes. Now, when I saw them come into view there, they were 60 to 70 yards out of range.
Yeah.
And turkeys that don't respond, that's too far. But you get him in close, make the right sound, and all we did was created a little fight. And they was close enough that they'd go down there an extra 20 or 30 yards and look.
That's what brought them in.
Yeah, and you couldn't see it from where you were at, David, but when he went to doing the fighting purr, 2 of them just got to jumping and hooking each other and wrapping their necks, and they went at it up there for maybe 20 seconds or so, and then the others just run right down to it.
You know what was interesting about that? Those 2 birds was doing the exact same sounds that I was doing, but the gobblers left those 2 birds because that score had already been settled. Yeah. They knew that, let them fight it out. We're going to check this new bunch out.
That's right.
Often.
Harold Knight and David Hale are supposed to pick up comedian Andy Andrews at his new house.
Harold, you sure this is where Andy lives? He said pick him up here. I'm sure this is where he said. This is the only place that he described as like it.
But Andy, does it have indoor plumbing?
Man alive, Harold, watch your step. That's dangerous. Oh, I tell you what, these turkey hunters just don't do nothing around the house, do they? Hey, Andy.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey.
Y'all want to come and watch the hole there?
You ready to go turkey
My
hunting?
wife's got some plans for you. Yeah, y'all want to get some coffee first?
No, get your gun, man. Let's go. I don't believe you'd have it warm anyway.
Are you sure?
Yeah, come on.
This is, have y'all been waiting long, have you?
Not long.
We've been back in the jacuzzi. Oh, having some trouble with the fireplace. Oh, wait. Okay, I got them. I just want to make sure I have my keys. I hate to leave the place unlocked.
You think you need to be going turkey hunting?
Yeah.
You sure ain't done much yard work, have you? Ever thought about home maintenance?
Harold and David have put Andy on a bird in a thicket. Wonder if that was by design. He can't stand it. He's coming back. The turkey won't stand but for so much. Even though the camera can't pick it up, this bird made his last mistake.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, he was gone. I mean, he was folded up and going away. And he was going, I mean, he was gone.
Well, what he'd done, he come down that hill and come around that little swamp grass, and I didn't know that ditch was there, and Harold was calling back there. Let me tell you something.
I couldn't see anything on it.
Anytime that you got two people calling, or you got two people hunting and a person behind calling, you're always subject to that turkey circling around and being out of gun range of the guy that wants to do the shooting. And he almost did that to us this morning.
Well, I'm glad I didn't shoot that dang turkey.
Why is that?
But I ain't gonna have to pack him out.
I'll pack him out. Glad.
That's right.
My tip for the day is if you ever go turkey hunting, make sure you have night and hail long.
Current Grand National calling champion Walter Parrott of Missouri teams up with David for a foggy but successful hunt. After locating the bird in this cow pasture well after fly down, the fog got thicker. The gobbles sounded close, but the tom held his ground. These kind of decoys are legal in every state. Finally, the old boy breaks. Even the best callers in the world know when to zip it up and remain quiet.
Hi, I'm Walter Parrott with Hunter Specialties. As you just saw, we had a very successful hunt this morning. I'd like to point out a couple of key things that I think made this hunt successful. We're hunting in some open pastures today with some rolling hills. This gobbler was quite a ways off, and we had to cross a couple of these pastures to get to him, so we took our time coming to him. Before we could get set up to where we wanted to on him, a hen got to him. So he quieted down and quit gobbling altogether. So we made a set and called, and he responded. We could hear the hen yelping, so I started talking to the hen right away. I continued the conversation with the hen until I got her up close to us. I tried to keep her here as long as I possibly could by calling soft to her and clucking and purring, and she was clucking and purring and answering. The gobbler showed himself up on the ridge just to take a look. It's natural for the hens to come to the gobbler. I tried not to seem like I was too interested. Once I saw that he acted like he was going to hang up there, so I quit my calling. The hen eventually walked back toward the gobbler. I was afraid he was going to pick her up and head on around the side of the hill, but he just couldn't stand it. He knew those hens were there somewhere, and he wanted to come down and take a little look to see if they'd move back behind this little green patch here. So he folded up and walked down the cow path and presented himself with a shot for me to take. Next time you've got a turkey hung up, you might try the quiet method on him.
I tell you, that goes to show our home state of Georgia has a lot of turkeys, and we had some great hunts this past spring.
Georgia was good to us. And David, that new fight and purr technique.
Well, you know, you're always a little bit skeptical of a new technique like that, but Harold and David, I mean, they really have got something figured out there, and I think, of course, we're going to see a lot of that on the market now.
It's going to change the industry somewhat.
Yeah, and it was incredible. I mean, that one hunt with Andy Andrews, it turned that turkey all the way around. He came back looking for that fight. It was incredible.
I'll tell you, you know, speaking of fights, we went to the, from Georgia to Texas, and we went to a ranch called the Encinitas Ranch, and mine and your first experience down there was deer hunting, and, you know, I happened to take a nice 14-pointer on camera, you know, down there deer hunting, but every day, we kept going by this big group of gobblers, and David said, you know, it'd be nice if we'd come back down here this spring, and we did.
What I remember was we took Joe Drake his first trip, and it was a fight to see who could get out of the house first with a shotgun when we got there, wasn't it?
You know, Joe, they lost some of his luggage, and he had to borrow clothes and boots and gun. Boy still did good.
But he was ready to go.
Yeah.
All you had to do was say turkeys, and Joe Drake was ready.
Yeah. And you even got in front of the camera.
I did, finally. It was enjoyable.
And that was an exciting hunt there, too.
Bow hunting, and Bill and I fought it for several days, but it takes a lot when you're trying to hide a camera and a guy with a bow and get drawn on at least one, usually more turkeys. It's really tough.
Yeah, I mean, when you call out there, it's not a question of really if they're coming, it's how many are coming.
That's right.
And you got to be...
Well, you know, I think that's a part of camouflage playing a major part, you know, and our all-purpose pattern did a great job down there. And, you know, the technique that we used, you know, bow hunting, you know, with Chuck was filming and I was doing the shooting. We both called some, and then we were set up a little bit further apart from each other, and you took over the calling.
Once he got into sight, it helped for another guy, and Joe did the same thing in my case. So.
And it worked well. Well, let's take these folks to Texas. We're going to take them on some exciting hunts, rattlesnakes and everything, but you're going to enjoy these hunts from Texas.
As Chuck and David mentioned, Bill and Joe hit the ground running, eager to get that first Rio Grande gobbler under their belts. They weren't disappointed. Hunting with Bill was Bill Whitfield, a hunting consultant who books deer and turkey hunts on the ranch. Joe's partner this afternoon is noted biologist Larry Wisehoon, who knows the ranch very well from managing its deer herd and has put his team in a hot spot. After hearing a couple of birds respond, the Jordan team places the decoys in position and sets up in some nearby mesquite and cactus. Bill calls on his tube yelper and keeps the birds interested. Back with the Drake team, Larry can hear a turkey drumming somewhere around him. This big old bird is playing it cool, and he's dead behind Joe and Larry. Meanwhile, the Bills have their birds cooperating like they were reading it out of a book.
better get on that one.
Great few minutes of hunting.
Took you, what, 5 minutes to call that one
Maybe
in?
all of 5 minutes. I tell you what we did. We're down here hunting on the Encinitas Ranch with Bill Whitfield, and this is the second place we stopped to call from. Bill said you saw some birds in here, I guess it was last week. And it's a little bit windy, you might be able to tell that. Stopped and called, heard a bird gobble. I said, guys, it's time to go to work, time to get out of the truck. But y'all didn't want to. I come out here and we set up the decoys, and from the very first call, the birds had started moving this way, and we sat down, and David with the camera, and you sitting beside David, and sure enough, when I put the decoys down, the only place I could find to sit down was behind a bush.
Well, it looks like Bill has scored first, with a Boss Tom sporting an 11-inch beard and 1 3/8 spurs. Good job. Now let's check in on Joe and Larry. Slowly but surely, this gobbler begins to move in position. Looks like he's played this game before. Even though the Drake team has missed out on first turkey of the trip, they can still take honors for biggest bird. Let's see what happens. Larry can't quite see him well enough to take a shot, and Joe, who was going to let Larry take the bird, has a clear shot and begins to ease his gun into position. Chuck's giving somebody the shoot signal. Anybody.
Congratulations, Joe.
I said, shoot him whenever you can.
That is a good beard, too.
And then
You're a good guy, man.
we was talking this situation.
Well, we've just been setting this thing up all afternoon.
Y'all giving me a heart attack over there with
Well,
that
he come
camera.
back and forth and back and forth. He was right here, but he never would get out there close in the open where we could get to him and really check his beard out. I didn't want,
What a trophy. With an 11.5-inch beard and 1.5 inch spurs, Joe's gobbler will be hard to top. A heavy cloud cover the following morning slowed the action down a bit. But it was still pretty good for Joe as he tags out with another good bird. Only the threat of another gobbler moving in on the decoy got this tom coming in the right direction.
We have traveled around a little bit together, haven't we?
Yes, we have, and I always look forward to going with you and enjoy hunting with you as much as anybody, and this hunt was no exception.
These are a little bit different from those Easterns we've been chasing around for the last month, aren't they?
Oh, man.
Boy, these display, and their head is so brilliant red.
We get back home, we hear an Eastern gobble liable to scare us.
Yeah, their gobble's a little bit different than that old that we're used to.
Chuck gets his turn at these Encinitas turkeys, and he's going to try it with his bow. Chuck's also got Joe along for backup. Talk about backup. Joe's pouring it to them, and they love it. With this many eyes, you've got to have great camo. The Realtree All-Purpose did the job once again.
I had a bush that when they went behind that bush and got up to the decoys, and of course that strutting turkey, and there's so many of them, I didn't know whether which one he was going to be on. I figured he'd be on the strutting turkey. Man, I was so nervous. I was shaking like a leaf.
He is so pretty. Oh.
We've had a great trip down here, haven't we?
It's been fabulous. Just to call turkeys and that.
Bill and Chuck spend the following day concentrating on luring a big tom into bow range. And after covering lots of ground, they finally get on some workable birds. Once the birds seem committed, Chuck will take over the calling, diverting the gobbler's attention away from Bill, who'll be trying to come to full draw undetected. Bill's arrow barely misses the bird's neck, causing him to run out of view of the camera. Another arrow from the Jennings Carbon Extreme downs the gobbler.
Good shot.
Hey, I'm really glad to get this bird right here. You probably saw my first shot. I had a good shot at the bird, and instead of trying to get him through the top wing bone, the top half, I was going for a headshot. And I missed the bird clean on the first shot, which you probably will see on the camera. And I came back again, and he ran off a little bit, and I hope we got enough of it on film, but he stopped again and went to cutting and yelping. Both birds stopped, and I got another arrow in, and made a good shot, and he went. Well, I hope you enjoyed Memories of Spring as much as we did bringing it to you. Coming up next, we have some exciting highlights of our upcoming deer video, Monster Bucks in North America. I hope you will fill out the enclosed sweepstakes information, and maybe you can win a trip to come hunt with us next year. Till next time, I'm Bill Jordan. Remember to hunt safe and always enjoy the great outdoors.